Independent radio for Vermont, The Point. This is pretty special here because I'm not just alone in the studio as I normally am. I mean, it's normally you and me. But what's awesome is I have actually Illiterate Light right here in the studio. How's it going?
It's good. How's it going, Burlington?
What's up, Sam and Burlington?
Yeah, no, I mean, really awesome that you guys were able to come in before your show tonight at Higher Ground, which I hear is going to be super fun, and just knowing your sound, I think it's going to be a great show.
We're excited. So we got to play the bigger room at Higher Ground in January with Raylan Baxter, and it was awesome, and we really jived with everybody there. They walked us over to the smaller room. They're like, we're going to bring you back here in like 6 months. So they held to it, and now we're back, and it's cool to be back.
Oh, I was going to say if this was your first time in Vermont, but clearly it's not, so I'm glad you're back.
Prior to that, we played the Monkey House over in Winooski.
Winooski.
Yeah, Winooski. So it's our third time here. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So it's not your first, not your second, but your third
time's
time.
a charm.
Third time's a charm.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. Sweet. And I know that we kind of have like a setup here where you could play us an acoustic version of a jam.
Yeah,
Would you mind doing that?
Let's do it. So this is a new song. This one's called Better Than I Used To. In my mind there's only three things: rubber band ball bouncing around, and I make my monthly trip into town, grocery shop and restock on paint. Some days I feel good, and some days I feel bad, but every time that I think of you, I feel better than I used to. Supple shining moment between, magnifying lost memories. Yeah, Monday morning, celebrating the week. What is it that you've done to me? Some days I feel good, and some days I feel bad, but every time that I think of you, I feel better than I used to. Every time that I think of you, I feel better than I used to. Yeah, glowing like red nuclear waste. Sun shines down as I bubble up. Oh, silent scream, contain the vein. Pull me in when push comes to shove. Every time that I think of you, I feel better than I used to. Every time that I think of you, I feel better than I used to. Every time that I think of you, I feel better than I used to. Every time that I think of you, I feel better than I used to. Oh, no.
Yes. Woo! That was awesome. Illiterate Light right here in the studio at The Point, WNCS. Their show is tonight at Higher Ground if you want, I guess, the fuller band version of that.
That's right.
But that was awesome.
Yeah, we love to spice it up a little bit, strip it back like this, you know. So fun thing about being a duo is we can live in a lot of worlds. If you're listening to this, I really do hope you come out tonight because we're a pretty rockin' live band. It's very fun and heavy and energetic, but then we also like to just strip back and make it really raw like this. So we'll be loud and crazy and wild tonight. So you definitely want to come see both sides of us.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
For sure. We have to get back to normal stuff now. We have some tunes coming up.
Hey,
but if you want to catch the rest of this interview, just go to our site, pointfm.com. And now we're back. Now we're on the website waves.
Okay, here we are.
Woo, yeah. I mean, that was super cool. That was great.
Yeah.
And I wanted to ask, so as a duo, because like you were saying, what's great is that you can strip some things back sometimes, and it's easier to control some things because there's just less people and less bodies involved, for sure. But, are there challenges with just the two of you?
Absolutely. Yeah.
No challenges.
None.
Let's see. We're clearly limited to what we can do on stage. At this point, we really enjoy still controlling everything live. Jeff's playing bass with his feet. He's playing guitar with his hands. He's singing. I'm playing drums standing up. I'm the one that moves around the most to kind of just do some laps around the stage and stuff. But we both watch 4, 5, 7-piece bands and see the chemistry between little parts of those bands, or how the guitarist can actually sit out for a little while and just kind of let the band groove and take a little break. And we don't really have that. That's a big thing for us. We're both on the entire time, so there's no
energy, stamina.
Yeah. There's no chance for the spotlight to go somewhere else.
Right.
We watched yesterday we had the day off and we went to Grand Point North and had a blast and saw so many great acts. And we'd been listening to Lucius in the van a good bit, and our tour manager is a huge fan of theirs and turned us on to him. But yesterday was the first time we saw him live, and they played as an 8-piece. I think they're probably usually like a 4 or 5, probably a 5-piece usually, but they had 3 members of the Vermont Symphony, I guess. 3,
the Vermont Symphony Orchestra.
Yeah, Vermont Symphony Orchestra, sitting in with them, and so it was really rad. But, it was just kind of one of those things where I was watching their bassist, and his bass lines, it just made me so jealous in a certain sense. I loved the set, but so it was just, I'm playing bass with my foot, and every now and then I'll watch a really great bassist on stage, and I'm just like, there's no way we'll ever be able to have that because we're doing it in a different way. So I get a little sad in that regard sometimes, but It goes back and forth.
Right.
There's real advantages about being a duo, too.
And the fact that, sure, you can go watch a band, like a full-piece band, and see a bassist do their thing.
Right.
But they're kind of getting people, and hopefully the people who are coming tonight at Higher Ground, are going to be getting a different experience from the usual stuff with just the two of you. I think it'd just be really interesting just to watch literally just the mechanics of how the two of you are just managing a full sound with just the two of you, which is incredible.
It is, depending on where you're seated in the venue. We played Montreal the other night, and somebody on Instagram took a story and shared it, and they were sitting in the balcony, so they were kind of looking right down over top of us, and they did a little caption that said, can't believe this guy's playing bass with his feet, and zoomed right in, and nobody that's standing in the pit would really even have any idea. You just kind of can't see. So for most people, they feel some sort of, there's a low end that's hitting you, but they don't necessarily, a lot of people think we're playing to tracks, but it's all live.
You're no.
It's when you hear the wrong note, that's because I played the wrong note. It's very, we try to keep it really organic, and we'll still have parts of songs that we just want to mix up here and there, and so
keep things fresh.
Exactly, yeah.
I guess that kind of goes with the fact that I've heard that both of you used to be organic, fresh farmers.
Well, yeah, we got to bring the freshness to everything we do.
For sure. I mean, can you tell me a little bit about that? Because I just think that that's so relatable to Vermonters, the whole farm thing.
Yeah, we've driving around, the last couple of days seeing farmers markets on every couple street corners was really
awesome.
Really brought some joy to our hearts. But we Jeff and I met in college, and by the time we graduated college, we had both studied other stuff. I studied health science, Jeff studied history, and music was just something we were into. It's kind of like what we did with all our spare time. But in the midst of that, we somehow decided, as we graduated college, we were kind of drawn into the local and organic agriculture scene in Virginia. Shenandoah Valley is where we're from in Virginia, Harrisonburg. That whole world just had so much cool, like, progressive agriculture going. And then also, like, a ton of Mennonites and folks that have been farming that land for generations.
Yeah.
And so, we got to work with a farm there that we were kind of interning on, and then within the first season that we were interning and, like, reading a bunch of books, taking classes, like really excited about learning how the season worked and when to plant. The farmer, him and his wife were going to have their first child, and he needed health insurance, and so he kind of said, like, I need to get a job working for the city of Harrisonburg. If you guys want to keep this going, you can. So we went from being interns to, like, running this farm.
Literally taking over the farm.
And, like, having our own interns.
How to grow corn.
101 for dummies.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a very fun and exciting time. Like, I think Jeff and I did it for probably about 2 years or 2 seasons.
That's
and
awesome.
the first one was very much just, like, a lot of guesswork, a lot of reading, and a lot of, failure. The second one was, like, slightly better. We had, gotten some know-how, some strategy, but
right, some experience.
Yeah. But we just kind of fell in love with the feeling of growing the food, of seeing something produced, of taking it to the market. Just the whole culture that we got involved in.
Yeah, farm to table.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Kind of a thing. I mean, that's what I think, at least that's what I really appreciated when I first moved here about 2 years ago, is the fact that it sounds crazy, and maybe more people should experience this, but I was born and raised in Florida, so I'm just so used to, like, going to Publix, my food is there, and, like, delicious, great. And it wasn't until I really moved up here that I was like, oh my God, look, a berry is growing on a vine. And people are like, you can just pluck and eat that. And I was like, can I? Is that okay? I don't know. Like, has it been, like, washed or whatever? They're like, you can literally just eat it. And I was like, this is awesome.
Yeah, it is funny. I grew up in the suburbs of Baltimore, and then when we started farming, I actually did start learning about all these, like, fresh berries that were just growing all over Virginia, and particularly this wine berries grow wild, but you can eat them. They're super good. And then I went home while in the midst of working on the farm for a summer for something, and I walked around our backyard and I saw all these wine berries, and I was like, holy crap, we've had wine berries here my whole life. And I like harvested them, I bring them in. My mom's like, what are you doing? Like, you can't eat those. And I was like, yes you can, like, they're wine. She was like, what, like, how do we know all this stuff? And it was just kind of like, well, yeah, like, if you know what these things are, you can make jam out of these things.
Right.
So yeah, it just took a while for me to learn all that stuff, but we spent the morning at there's a little co-op in Burlington. A little market kind of co-op.
City Market?
City Market.
Yes.
Kind of been hubbing out of there for some of our meals. And
that's good stuff.
It's really good. Yeah. And I was walking around earlier and just saw this, like, it was just like a photo of, like, a Vermont farmer just, like, working with these cows, and I just had this moment where I was just like, oh my gosh, I do. That is probably one thing that's really hard for us on the road, is just constantly moving and not feeling like we're always as connected to the earth as we'd like to be. But I just had this, like, moment where I was like, I kind of longed for that in a lot of ways. So it's cool to actually go to these farmers markets or go to little places where there is fresh food.
Yeah. Maybe there is something to say about, even though you're not staying grounded in one place on tour, at least you're covering a lot of ground, so to speak. Yeah. It's like, at least I would imagine the cool part, and what I personally love about radio, is the fact that I get to meet and go to a lot of different places.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, I never imagined me growing up in Florida that I would move to Vermont and be here, but I love it, and like learning about this culture and this experience. So I guess that's the cool part, is that maybe while you're not growing stuff in one place, you're, like, growing relationships or making new music, and
we're planting seeds all throughout the country and world at this point.
You're like Johnny Appleseed.
Exactly.
Isn't that a thing that, like, he, like, went around the country and just, like, planted apples?
Spreading apples. Yeah.
Spreading apples.
And planting apple trees. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yes. I think I just have one more question before maybe, like, another tune, and then I know you have to get to higher ground and plan and all that stuff. I heard through the grapevine, and tell me this is true, that this debut album that's coming out in October 11th. Do it, get it. Good stuff. You only wrote in maybe like 30 minutes or something. Is that true? Or is that hearsay?
That is probably hearsay. I think that was there are a few songs that definitely came together within a very, very short period of time. But that wouldn't be that may have been internet jumble. I don't know. Yeah. I feel like we may have said that about another song or two, and then somehow it was like we wrote the record. I know because like Hendrix wrote like "Are You Experienced" in like 24 hours or something like that.
Right,
but
the Beatles
we
have written
can't
so many songs in just like minutes.
Yeah,
I'm like,
right.
how does this happen?
We have a song called "Sweet Beast" that was one of those tunes that was just kind of like we just picked up our instruments within 30 minutes. This tune was kind of done, and we just one of those songs that just kind of clicked right away, almost just from a improvised sort of jam. So every song's a little bit different. Some songs sit around for, I don't know, a year. Like Better Than I Used To was just kind of this song that we had this jam like 3 years ago.
Really?
And it just kind of sat on the back shelf, and we never really had a chorus for it. But I'm really big into not forgetting those ideas and trying to archive things and kind of keep coming back to it from a different angle. And so that was one of those songs that was just like, you know, just kind of every few months we'd revisit it, and finally it felt like things just really started to come together. But it just was like a 3-year little thing, you know? So we've got a bunch of those songs right now that are just kind of on the back. Yeah, like
I guess.
Like a jam from 2012 or something, which we weren't even Illiterate Light at that point. But we try to keep all of those things because
you never know.
You never know.
3 years later, and now it's this huge jam.
Massive worldwide, huge intergalactic number 1 hit single.
Aliens.
Some alien out there is jamming
Honestly,
out too.
Satellites, it's totally possible.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a thing. The aliens are probably looking out and they're like, this is good.
They're like, Illiterate Light's a pretty good duo. That's pretty cool.
Let's like change some gravity pulls to make them more popular or whatever.
Yeah.
Which I would hope. Aliens, please. If you're listening right now, please, aliens, do that. Awesome. Okay. Well, if you wouldn't mind,
let's do another.
Can we grab one more.
Yeah. So this is another song that's coming up. It's out right now, but it's on the new record. It's called "Sometimes Love Takes So Long."
Cool.
Used to be green like 2 basil leaves, but left by the window. We're going to see what in the world happened to you and me. Used to be red like strawberry bread, simple and sweet, and we both got fed. But now we're spitting sugar, lonely and in our heads. So don't break the silence with empty words. Don't fan the fire of my heartburn. Don't make a joke of our hard work. Lord only knows, sometimes love takes so long. Here's my heart to write on. Every word is bitter sweet. Your therapist, my shaking knees, knocked together recklessly. We made a promise, one that we can't keep. I was too young to understand, and now I'm too old to give a damn. What in the world happened to you and me? So don't break the silence with empty words. Don't fan the fire of my heartburn. Don't make a joke of our hard work. Sometimes Sometimes love takes so long. Here's my heart to write on. Every word is bitter sweet. Sometimes love takes so long. Come on, sweet tooth, stay strong. Circle back to you and me. So long. Here's my heart to write on. Every word is bitter sweet. Sometimes love takes so long. Come on, sweet tooth, stay strong. Circle back to you and me. Sometimes love takes so long.
Yes. We are The Point, independent radio for Vermont, Illiterate Light. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thanks, Vermont. We'll see you tonight at Higher Ground.
Yes, tonight at Higher Ground. Be there or be square. Thanks.